it's Dorothy Guiding with Scrapbooking Quebec. Welcome to a new series on my channel called Simple Pages with Impact. In this series, I'll be sharing ideas on how to create a big impact on simple pages, pages with wow that come together quickly. I'm aiming to do one video per month, but no promises at this point. I'm going to do them as the idea comes, also as time permits. Video 1 is for the Scrapbook Nerd online shop design team, and I'm going to be talking about big, bold, beautiful prints, the kind of paper that strikes you as so beautiful you don't even want to cut into it. It's also the kind of paper that many people find intimidating to use. I'll show you an idea how to use it without losing your photos in it. Also, how to do this quickly. Here is what I'm going to be using. I have paper from Elizabeth Craft Designs Christmas Lives Here paper pack, and the embellishments are from Vicki Boutin's Evergreen and Holly collection. I felt like the Elizabeth Craft Designs paper pack, which doesn't have any coordinating embellishments, added a fun new spin to my Evergreen and Holly leftovers from Christmas. Anyway, these two collections work super well together. All of these products came from the Scrapbook Nerd online shop, so I am going to link up the shop along with the products I use in the description box below. So let's jump right in. I did no preparation. Here is my background paper, a big, bold, beautiful print from this Elizabeth Craft Designs paper pack. I absolutely love it. It's a collage print. Yes, I could cut it up into smaller bits, but I want to use it in its entirety, and I don't want to lose my photos in it either, and I want to do this quickly. I'm showing you the other papers I have. All of them are from this Elizabeth Craft Designs collection, except that black cardstock. I'm going to be documenting one photo of Pasta. That is my son's cat on Christmas Day, and he's wearing Chester's Christmas outfit. And in this tray I have a bunch of embellishments. So I have cut-aparts, chipboard, and ephemera pieces from Vicki Boutin's Evergreen and Holly. I find the colors work well with this collection. The mood and feel work well with Elizabeth Craft Designs. I absolutely love the two together. I also created some embellishments with tools from my stash, and I'll talk about that later on. And I have a handful of scraps from this collection from Elizabeth Craft Designs because I've used it quite a bit so far this month. So what I want to do before actually jumping into the process is talk a little bit about big, bold, beautiful prints. Now I went through my stash and I pulled some that I find big, bold, and beautiful. And when I'm talking about these for this technique, there are a lot of beautiful papers out there, but as paper crafters, sometimes there is a paper that really strikes us as absolutely beautiful. This one here strikes me as beautiful. All those cat paws. That is from Photoplay Paper's Meow collection. Here are a few more. This is from Simple Stories Hearth and Home collection. I find that a very interesting piece of paper. When I was going through that collection, I actually pulled out a cut-apart sheet because I have used this very same technique with cut-apart sheets, and it makes for a very interesting page. I also pulled a few from Pink Fresh Studio. Now I find these interesting. A lot of their collections have these kind of text prints where they go all in different directions. Anyway, I pulled out two there. Now the next paper I'm going to show you, I don't find it necessarily big, bold, and beautiful. Like, it doesn't touch my heart like some of the other ones. However, it is a map print, probably a city map or something like that. It's from Maggie Holmes, and that type of paper would work well for this technique as well. So now into the process. My plan is to create a simple page and place it on top of this bold paper. I'll be creating a very simple grid. Now again, the purpose of this video series is to create simple, fast pages. My aim is to do it in 30 to 60 minutes. I don't like to put a timeline on these because people definitely scrapbook at different rates, but nevertheless, quick pages, and that's what I'm showing you here. So I cut that black paper, which is going to be basically where I place my grid, and now what you see me doing is cutting up matte for my photo, a mat for my photo, I should say. I could have used the flip side. That paper, one side is kind of off-white and this side is a cut-apart sheet. I decided to use the cut-apart sheet. It's very subtle, but it almost has that tiny collage vintage look underneath the photo without making it too busy behind the photo. What I'm going to do is make this grid a little bit bigger, so I'm adding 2 more blocks, and that I'm using a scrap of paper from this Christmas Lives Here collection. So I simply cut out 2 blocks at 4 inches by 3 inches, and what I will do is put measurements on the screen for all of this a little bit later on. However, what's really important here is you can make the grid whatever size you want, but what I'm keeping in mind when I'm doing this is I want it to be fairly small, because the idea is I want to create an impact with that big, bold, beautiful print. So if my grid's too big, I will cover it up. I'm also only using 1 photo on purpose because I want to keep this as unbusy as possible, because the background is busy. The background is there intentionally because I want it to have an impact on my page. That's what this is all about. So I want to keep the grid on top of it very, very simple. Now what I'm going to do is add ink to all of these blocks on my grid. So the ink I'm using is Morning Mist by Versafine Clair. It's kind of a smoky gray, and I do it to those 2 blocks, which are later going to house my title, journaling, and a wee bit of embellishing. And I'm also doing it to my photo mat. Now, what I did also off camera, I continued inking, but I also added 2 extra layers of scrap cardstock behind my photo. And you're going to see in a minute, it just helps raise up that photo a little bit off the page. What I'm doing when I'm creating this grid is I really want to make sure that I don't lose my photos, which is easy to do when you're using big, bold print. So number 1, that's why I have that black mat behind there. That is also why I have a contrasting mat behind my photo, but it's also why I raised up the photo a bit. Also, if I'm to continue, it is why I'm only using 1 photo, because I don't want this grid to get busy. So now I'm adhering the photos and the block to this black piece of paper. And in a minute, you're going to see I actually bring in a second mat for this grid. So I'm going to be using this green paper here from the collection as well. I cut that out off camera, and I am going to keep these separate from the foundation page for a little while yet, because when I create a page like this, I don't always place the grid in the middle of the foundation page. I decide that at the very end. Now I'm showing you, I have a tray of embellishments. I stopped the film and got them all out. So I'm showing the pieces to you here. So I have, like I mentioned earlier, ephemera from Vicki Boutin's Evergreen and Holly. I have chipboard. That's adhesive chipboard, but I peeled the adhesive off. I always do that with thicker chipboard pieces. Anyway, I have a cut apart sheet, Joy. That is going to be my title. And now I'm showing you the die cut pieces that I have. So those branches, I cut them with a retired die set from Stampin' called Beautiful Boughs dies. I have those cats there that I cut from some Holtz dies. And I also have some hearts here. And those were simply from dies from my stash, and all of that was cut out with scraps of paper from this Elizabeth Craft Designs paper pack. So even though none of these dies are in the shop is full of dies, and if you do like die cutting, I suggest you have a look there in the die section, because things like branches and hearts, for example, those are very basic dies, and you definitely can find them there. And for me anyway, they are the type of dies that I use over and over again. Those cats there were a gift from my friend Cindy. So Cindy, if you're watching, I absolutely love them. Anyway, you can see I put my title in that top block there, and I have it kind of overlapping the photo. I don't necessarily put things in the middle of these blocks in the grid. I kind of toss them around a bit for interest. In the bottom, I put another ephemera piece from that Vicki Boutin Evergreen and Holly collection. That's going to be my journaling box. And basically, I created a simple cluster in the bottom right with those branches there. I'm starting with that. Then I come in with the cats and hearts. I layer those up a bit. The adhesive I'm using there, by the way, for the branches is called Sticky Specs by Ecstasy Crafts. It's kind of a sticky glue sheet. You put a detailed piece on top of it and it picks up the adhesive. For the heart that I'm going to adhere in a moment, I do pop that up on foam adhesive. And you may notice I'm kind of adhering all of this together, this entire grid block, before actually placing it on the foundation page. And again, I wait until the very end because the placement of that grid on the foundation page, that changes. It depends on where I feel it looks best. So I usually wait until the very end to do that. You can see I'm putting branches in the kitty corner there, up in the top left. And now what I'm doing is kind of working on the tag. I actually punched out a 3/4 inch circle in that dark red paper to put on top of the reinforcer there. And I'm coming in now with a bit of chipboard. So underneath the word joy, I have Christmas Day. I popped that up on foam adhesive. And I also have a little snowflake piece of chipboard that I put in the middle of that reinforcer on the tag, but I do have a bit of problem with it. It keeps popping off for me. Anyway, I end up using a glue dot to adhere it down. I'm thinking I want a third hit of red on this layout. I have a little bit of red there, and I get out these labels and another word sticker from the ephemera pack from Vicki Boutin, but I can't decide at this point. So what I do end up doing is simply adhering that block to the page where I decide it looks nice. And it's honestly, I more or less center it this time, but I don't always do that. Sometimes I put it towards the bottom, sometimes I put it towards the bottom right. Again, it depends often on that big bold print that's behind there, and sometimes it depends on what I put beside it, the coordinating page. So now I'm coming in and I want to add that red piece. So I have two pieces there, a red label and another black piece that says one for the record books. I'm having trouble there. I ended up adhering them both together. One doesn't fit nicely on top of the other, so I kind of staggered them, and now I'm just playing with the layers at top, deciding which layer to tuck it behind, and I end up tucking it behind that black block, and that is basically it. Here is the finished layout, and off camera, all I did was my journaling. So just to review, I selected a big, bold, beautiful print as my background. I created a simple grid to place on top, backing it twice with solid paper. I did this to separate the photos from the busy background. On the grid, I added the title, journaling, and embellishments. I also kept the grid small in order to be able to see that big, bold print. That's what creates the wow impact. So I was able to use a big, bold print that I love, and now I can still see my photos. I hope you enjoyed video 1 of Simple Pages with Impact. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the Scrapbook Nerd YouTube channel, we would be thrilled if you did. The same thing for my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, where eventually you will find more videos in this series. Don't forget to check out the Scrapbook Nerd online shop for these fun supplies and more. Take care, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.